"Go to my boudoir," she said, "and they shall bring some coffee in there. That's the room where we all assemble and busy ourselves as we like best," she explained. "Alexandra, my eldest here, plays the piano, or reads or sews. Adelaida paints landscapes and portraits, but never finishes any, and Aglaya sits and does nothing. I don't work too much either. Here we are now. Sit down, prince, near the fire, and talk to us. I want to hear you relate something. I wish to make sure of you first, and then tell my old friend, Princess Bielokonski, about you. I wish you to know all the good people and to interest them. Now then, begin." "Mamma, it's rather a strange order, that," said Adelaida, who was fussing among her paints and paint-brushes at the easel. Aglaya and Alexandra had settled themselves with folded hands on a sofa, evidently meaning to be listeners. The prince felt that the general attention was concentrated upon himself. "I should refuse to say a word if I were ordered to tell a story like that," observed Aglaya. "Why, what's there strange about it? He has a tongue. Why shouldn't he tell us something? I want to judge whether he is a good storyteller. Anything you like, prince. How you liked Switzerland. What was your first impression? Anything. You'll see he'll begin directly and tell us all about it beautifully." "The impression was forcible," the prince began. "There, you see, girls," said the impatient lady. "He has begun, you see." "Well then, let him talk, mamma," said Alexandra. "This prince is a great humbug and by no means an idiot," she whispered to Aglaya. "Oh, I saw that at once," replied the latter. "I don't think it at all nice of him to play a part. What does he wish to gain by it, I wonder?" "My first impression was a very strong one," repeated the prince. "When they took me away from Russia, I remember I passed through many German towns and looked out of the windows, but did not trouble so much as to ask questions about them. This was after a long series of fits. I always used to fall into a sort of torpid condition after such a series, and lost my memory almost entirely. And though I was not altogether without reason at such times, yet I had no logical power of thought. This would continue for 3 or 4 days, and then I would recover myself again. I remember my melancholy was intolerable. I felt inclined to cry. I sat and wondered uncomfortably. The consciousness that everything was strange weighed terribly upon me. I could understand that it was all foreign and strange. I recollect I awoke from this state for the first time at Basle one evening. The bray of a donkey aroused me, a donkey in the town market. I saw the donkey and was extremely pleased with it, and from that moment my head seemed to clear. "A donkey? How strange! Yet it is not strange. Any one of us might fall in love with a donkey. It happened in mythological times," said Madame Epanchin, looking wrathfully at her daughters, who had begun to laugh. "Go on, prince." "Since that evening I have been specially fond of donkeys. I began to ask questions about them, for I had never seen one before, and I at once came to the conclusion that this must be one of the most useful of animals, strong, willing, patient, cheap. And thanks to this donkey I began to like the whole country I was travelling through, and my melancholy passed away." "All this is very strange and interesting," said Mrs. Epanchin. "Now let's leave the donkey and go on to other matters. What are you laughing at, Aglaya? And you too, Adelaida? The prince told us his experiences very cleverly. He saw the donkey himself. And what have you ever seen? You have never been abroad." "I have seen a donkey, though, mamma," said Aglaya. "And I've heard one," said Adelaida, and all 3 of the girls laughed out loud, and the prince laughed with them. "Well, it's too bad of you," said mamma. "You must forgive them, prince. They are good girls. I am very fond of them, though I often have to be scolding them. They are all as silly and mad as March hares." "Oh, why shouldn't they laugh?" said the prince. "I shouldn't have let the chance go by in their place, I know. But I stick up for the donkey all the same. He's a patient, good-natured fellow." "Are you a patient man, prince? I ask out of curiosity," said Mrs. Epanchin. All laughed again. "Oh, that wretched donkey again, I see," cried the lady. "I assure you, prince, I was not guilty of the least insinuation. Oh, I assure you, I take your word for it." And the prince continued laughing merrily. "I must say it's very nice of you to laugh. I see you really are a kind-hearted fellow," said Mrs. Epanchin. "I'm not always kind, though." "I am kind myself, and always kind too, if you please," she retorted unexpectedly. "And that is my chief fault, for one ought not to be always kind. I'm often angry with these girls and their father, but the worst of it is I'm always kindest when I am cross. I was very angry just before you came, and Aglaya there read me a lesson. Thanks, Aglaya, dear. Come and kiss me. There, that's enough," she added as Aglaya came forward and kissed her lips and then her hand. "Now then, go on, prince. Perhaps you can think of something more exciting than about the donkey, "I must say again, I can't understand how you can expect anyone to tell you stories straight away so," said Adelaida. "I know I never could." "Yes, but the prince can, because he is clever. Cleverer than you are by 10 or 20 times, if you like. There, that's so, prince. And seriously, let's drop the donkey now. What else did you see abroad besides the donkey?" "Yes, but the prince told us about the donkey very cleverly, all the same," said Alexandra. "I have always been most interested to hear how people go mad and get well again, and that sort of thing, especially when it happens suddenly." "Quite so, quite so," said Mrs. Epanchin, delighted. "I see you can be sensible now and then, Alexandra. You were speaking of Switzerland, prince." "Yes, we came to Lucerne, and I was taken out in a boat. I felt how lovely it was, but the loveliness weighed upon me somehow or other, and made me feel melancholy." "Why?" asked Alexandra. "I don't know. I always feel like that when I look at the beauties of nature for the first time. But then I was ill at that time, of course." "Oh, but I should like to see it," said Adelaida. "And I don't know when we shall ever go abroad. I've been 2 years looking out for a good subject for a picture. I've done all I know. The north and south I know by heart, as our poet observes. Do help me to a subject, prince." "Oh, but I know nothing about painting. It seems to me one only has to look and paint what one sees." "But I don't know how to see." "Nonsense, what rubbish you talk!" the mother struck in. "Not know how to see? Open your eyes and look. If you can't see here, you won't see abroad either. Tell us what you saw yourself, prince." "Yes, that's better," said Adelaida. "The prince learned to see abroad." "Oh, I hardly know. You see, I only went to restore my health. I don't know whether I learned to see exactly. I was very happy, however, nearly all the time." "Happy? You can be happy?" cried Aglaya. "Then how can you say you did not learn to see? I should think you could teach us to see." "Oh, do teach us," laughed Adelaida. "Oh, I can't do that," said the prince, laughing too. "I lived almost all the while in one little Swiss village. What can I teach you? At first I was only just not absolutely dull. Then my health began to improve. Then